in order to bring change, you have to vote for something different. So I'm doing this broadcast, and I'm going to tell you something that you've all been waiting for the last 6 months of doing Face Speaks Louder. And I've done a lot of research. Oh God, a lot of research. I've talked to a lot of people. I've spent the last 6 months immersed in politics, and I've come to a conclusion about who I'm voting for. And it's not going to be a surprise to a lot of you, but I will be voting for reform. And the reason I'm voting for reform is you only have to look back 6 months worth of videos. And it just leads you down that path of where my thinking was going. I don't think we have a choice. Now, I do understand that there's people, and I've talked to friends who say they cannot bring themselves to vote for reform. And I get it. I absolutely get it. I think a lot of the block in the way is Nigel Farage. I think he's not the most likeable character. I think the UK party is in jeopardy right now. However, the Welsh sector is strong. It is strong. I like what Dan Thomas said in one of the speeches. He said, Nigel isn't boss in Wales, I am. And I thought, wow, that does speak volumes to me, that he is taking authority in Wales, he is taking the reins of reform in Wales, and I like that type of attitude. And so I will be voting for reform. However, if you cannot bring yourself to vote for reform, then there is a party that I would advise you to vote for, and that would be Heritage. Now, Heritage have a candidate in every constituency. Some constituencies, they have two. It's important that we get as many of those in as possible as well. So if it is a thing, because I've talked to many people, especially Christians, they just can't do it, then go for Heritage, right? The other parties, as much as I like some of what Gwlad have to say, and there's some independents and things like that, we really need to group together and be strategic in this election. Now, obviously, I've advised to wait until the day before, and I advise you to do the same. Wait until the day before the election, see what the bookies are saying. However, I think it's becoming clear that we do not have any other choices other than reform and Heritage. Matthew?
Well, let me put another option on the table.
Go on.
Vote for Pedro. And do you know why? Do you know why I'll be voting for Pedro?
Why?
Because if you do, all of your wildest dreams will come true. And do you know what? I've been waiting months to do that joke.
So nobody, if they haven't watched Napoleon Dynamite, they're not going to get it. So watch the film Napoleon Dynamite. It's one of mine and Matthew's favourites.
So I just had to do that.
I know, it's fantastic. There is no party called Pedro, by the way. Not even an independent. But I think it's safe to say, because, you know, we've got a team behind the cameras here. And Matthew, I think it's safe to say that you'll be voting for reform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I fall into that category of I don't really like it.
No.
And there's other there's other ideologies that I'd prefer to vote for. There's other parties, but they're not an option in Wales, and it is the least worst option.
Yeah. And we've got the objective for the next few years of the Senedd isn't necessarily to change Wales, it's to change the Senedd. And I think this has to be distinguished, is because if we are looking to change the nation of Wales, it's going to take more than 5 years, right? And you're not going to get change in Wales unless you have change in the Senedd. So this election needs to be about changing the Senedd. Put Wales just to the back foot for a minute, right? You know, bringing culture to Wales, bringing this to Wales, whatever. It's not going to happen unless change is in the Senedd. So we need to really be strategic with our voting to bring change to the Senedd. But there's other people in our team that will not be voting for reform. Can't do it. And so they will be voting for Heritage. And I completely support their stance in doing that, because I do believe that Heritage are a fantastic party with fantastic people in it who I wholeheartedly believe are going to bring change to Wales at the right point. Right now, Senedd needs a good shaking up, and the only way we're able to do that is to all group together and vote for a party that is the opposite to Labour and Plaid.
Do you know the UK election? When was it that the Brexit Party was prevalent?
Oh gosh, you're going back.
It wasn't a general election. It was something else.
Yeah.
But you had this wave of people saying, right, enough's enough. No, we're going to vote an acknowledgement of we're going to vote Brexit Party, and that served a purpose for a time. I don't think anyone really truly believed that it was a long term. It was never going to be a long term party, and I think it's morphed and it's done other things. But I think Wales needs that. It's just an acknowledgement that reform. I don't think. Long term, I think, and we hope and I pray for better options. Yeah. But I think it's just this acknowledgement that right now a change is needed. That's not Plaid and Labour. Come on, it's the same. It's the same person wearing different shoes, isn't it? And they've propped Labour up for so many years, and it's the same agenda, only more radical. That's not change. It's we need this. We need change. And Reform is the only party that is going to do that.
That's it. And you've got to bear in mind, the Senedd have had a lot of left-leaning parties. The only right-leaning party, really, of any, good standing was Conservatives. And they've lost the plot. So now that we have Reform and we have Heritage and, Gwlad and Olem, we have a lot more options. But we have to pick the option that has the most media coverage, that has the most reach for now. They have the most candidates, and so I think everybody needs to group together to vote for Reform. And if you really can't bring yourself to do that, then vote for Heritage, because we need to get Heritage in. And that would just be my advice. That's the strategy that I believe will win the Senedd back for Wales again. But you don't have to agree with me, and that's absolutely fine. But that's just what I'm going to be doing. Will I be voting Reform after this again? Hopefully not. I hope I don't have to. I hope that the other parties will be at the forefront of politics again in Wales and in the UK. So I hope we never have to do this again. But in order to bring change, you have to vote for something different. And Reform are different. So there you go. Don't look to the right, don't look to the left. Look up. Wales.